Dalvin Cook was cut by those Minnesota Vikings. And when I first saw this come across the way, I was like, okay, we saw it come in. There was some talks about they might be looking to cut Dalvin Cook, and they cut him due to the cap space, really, at the end of the day. Signed a massive 5-year, $63 million, well-deserved contract in 2020, and he would have been an undrafted free agent in 2026. And again, you look at what you look at what Dalvin Cook has done for the Minnesota Vikings since coming into the league, having a nose for the end zone. Yes, he's dealt with the injuries, but I don't think that's enough to truly discount him and say that he can't provide for a team. He can't go into a Super Bowl roster and really put them over the hump. But you also have to draw back and take a look at, why would Minnesota really cut in a leak back like Dalvin Cook, looking at his numbers, knowing his skills, knowing the contributions to the Vikings? And not only are the Vikings, but the entire NFL a pass first and really a pass happy team now. And speaking of the Vikings specifically, you got Justin Jefferson, who's going to need to get paid. You've also got Jordan Addison, who was picked in the draft as well, my number one receiver coming into the draft. Kirk Cousins is going to be very comfortable with him. He should have made my top 5 new quarterback wide receiver duos, but I feel like Kirk and Jetta's one that was already not a new one, but two, still going to be a bigger connection than Kirk and Jordan Addison. And again, like much of the NFL, it's a pass first league. So when you look at this move by the Vikings and you look at how the NFL is devaluing the running back position second by second, game by game, contract by contract, season by season, however you want to cut the pie, running backs are not valued nearly what they were even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7, 10 years ago. Alexander Mattison is the running back that's in that room now. They also drafted McBride in the NFL draft as well. Alexander Mattison is good enough really for what Minnesota needs out of a running back right now. I mean, yes, he might not be a Dalvin Cook that could find the end zone 10 to 15 times a year and rush for 14 to 1,600 yards and be the best running back in the NFL on any given day. And that can kind of go, for other running backs and multiple teams in the league. But Alexander Mattison presents enough of a presence to where Minnesota's like, look, you signed a 5-year, $63 million deal. You were making $16 million a year. I believe that's the math. As a running back, Christian McCaffrey, I don't believe is making that. I think he's making close to that. Aaron Jones just had to restructure his contract. Again, we see the NFL devaluing the running back position. We see the contracts dwindling more and more and more. And this is why we have discussions of NFL running backs are the most replaceable position in the sport and maybe in sports in general. I don't want to get too deep into that conversation, but it sucks when you see guys like Saquon Barkley not being able to get a deal. Aaron Judge had to restructure and go cheaper, even though he's well worth it with the Packers. Dalvin Cook is cut. NFL running backs are not being able to drive their true value to a team because the NFL is such a pass-happy league. You look at the Chiefs, you look at the Bills, you look at the Dolphins. Them having a running back is really just a plus, but it's not the entire sauce to their whole game plan that they're going to be coming into the NFL season with. Big part of this cut as well is, like I mentioned earlier, Justin Jefferson is going to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL once he signs the contract and might be the most highest paid receiver in NFL history. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. He's a very humble kid. I love his style, love the way he plays the game. Seems like he really gives back to where he comes from. But knowing that Justin Jefferson has a payday coming up, knowing that Kirk Cousins could potentially be heading out next year, which would be more cap space, knowing that Dalvin Cook was cut, you got to back up the Brinks truck. You don't have to back up the Brinks truck, for Justin Jefferson, but you do have to pay him well. I don't believe he's going to command $30 million like Tyreek Hill did. That was one of the biggest contracts we've seen. But if Justin Jefferson's coming in making $23 to $27 million a year as an NFL wide receiver, and the Vikings want to lock him up for the next 4 to 6 years, you could really see that happen. And that is a major part of what Dalvin Cook, a piece of what Dalvin Cook was taking up. And again, the more things like this happen, the more that this shows the running back position, even if you're elite, even if you're contributing, even if you can play well in the playoffs. I get it. Everybody wants to jump on the recency bias. Dalvin Cook's been hurt. We don't want any part of him. I just talked about it on the last show. Dalvin Cook's got 10 teams. By the way, goofed real bad. Saints do have Jamal Williams. They do have, of course, Kamara is there, and I believe there's another running back in the room. They did draft a running back. So y'all hopped all over me in those comments. Definitely my bad. That's what I get for going Saints bias. But take out the Saints. 9 teams in the NFL should be making a call for Dalvin Cook, should be looking to, pick him up, sign him, however they have to cut the pie. There are 9 teams in the NFL that could use him, and maybe even more. Those are just the 9 that jumped out to me. For my opinion, doing the show, doing the analytics for everything, there's a big market for Dalvin Cook. He was cut by the Minnesota Vikings. The payday's coming up for Justin Jefferson, and the running back position will continue to devalue, depreciate like a bad asset, like a negative bank account. And I hate it. I hate it. I really, really do. What's up, Dwayne Marcus, aka Goat Talk Pod? Good to see you, man. Legend. Browns logo. Absolutely. 3 teams that could absolutely use the services of Cook: Buffalo, Miami, Ravens. Want to say I put all them on there. Rams could also use Cook services. I'm doing NFC West record predictions, man. The Rams, I had to give him some love. I had to give him some love because I could see that team winning less than 7 games this year. I'll just say that because I don't want people to unsubscribe for what's going to seem like hatred for the Rams. But good to see you in, man. Let's get on a show soon. I know I fell out of the community a little bit, just been doing a lot of solo shows, grinding it out, but good to see you in the chat, man. So Vikings fans, if you're a team or if you're a fan of a team that's looking to get Dalvin Cook, get in the comments. Let me know what you think about Dalvin Cook being cut by the Vikings. Where should he go? I've already given y'all my market for Dalvin Cook.